Hi, it's Dave. Do you have any debt? Do you have credit card debt, student loan debt, auto loan debt? Whatever the debt is, it's possible this debt is weighing heavily on you and it produces anxiety and stress in your life. And today I'm going to share how you can get out of debt. More specifically, I'm going to look at a case where someone has $96,000 worth of debt and give some suggestions. The other day, I saw this video on Dave Ramsey's channel. A person calls in and he basically shares that he has $96,000 worth of debt combined with his fiance. They're an engaged couple with a baby and daycare, and they have a combined income of $67,000. They have no savings, like zero savings, and they're living month to month, and it's extremely hard for them to reduce their debt. And so they're basically calling and saying, hey, what can we do to reduce our debt?
So I've got a situation I need some advice. Me and my fiance, our combined debt is over $96,000. We make a combined income of about $67,000, and we have a baby daughter that goes to daycare. So each paycheck is very little left over after everything is paid. We're kind of relying on incentives that we get from work each month to kind of get us through the month. But, we don't know where to start. We started watching your videos and everything, but we have no idea, what we should do to start getting out of debt. Because it doesn't seem like we have enough wiggle room.
Their debt breakdown looks like this. Their auto loan is $24,000. Their student loans are about $42,000. Their credit card debt is $14,000, and their 401k loan is $20,000. So it's basically almost about $100,000. Dave Ramsey gives us the following suggestions. He says, number one, have a written budget every month. So he's very strict with budgeting. Number two, sell everything in sight, including the car. Number three, work all the time. Work 2 to 3 extra jobs, both people in the couple, and then don't eat out ever, and don't go on any vacations, and basically go through 3 years of hell to try to pay off this debt as soon as possible.
You're not going to see the inside of a restaurant for the next 3 years unless you're working there. And you're not going on vacation. You're working all the time, and you're working 2 or 3 extra jobs, both of you. Because you got to get your income up to attack this. And then you can make some progress.
Now, I've got some major problems with Dave Ramsey's advice here. I think his advice is way too rigid, and it has too much just conventional thinking. It's basically work harder, bring down your expenses, have a tight budget, and it's like putting yourself in jail. He's basically saying, put yourself in jail, for as many years as possible it takes to pay off your debt. And I think there's a much better way to approach paying off large amounts of debt. And I call it principle-based finance. And it's a way to pay off your debt, to get things in order through principles and not through a rigid system of legalistic kind of chains that put you in a prison of no freedom. With principles, you're free to apply them in whatever way you want. You have freedom for creativity. You have freedom to get wisdom and freedom to do something that other people aren't doing. Now, this is the freedom you get when you go with a principle-based approach to finance. So here are some principles that I think can help you reduce debt, especially large sums of debt. Number one is, rather than strict budgeting, go with embracing minimalism. You see, there's a bigger problem with overspending, and it's not just a lack of budget. It's basically you have inside of you this untamed, kind of uncontrollable desire to accumulate more and more things. And to counter that, there's an embrace of minimalism that you can do that can show you that there's value and there's a pricelessness in just emptiness. There's an amazing amount of value you get when you have less than more. And I think minimalism is often underrated. And there's a lot of glorification of these huge homes and people who live these fat lifestyles. But there's something even higher than that. And that's a lifestyle where you're not tied down. You're not overly attached to all these things. You can live with less. And so the first kind of principle is, embrace minimalism and use that to control a lot of your overspending problem. Do more with less and be happy with that. Be grateful and actually attack the problem from your heart. The second principle you can use, rather than working 3 or 4 jobs and rather than this crazy, rigid budgeting system, the second principle is make war on debt. Like Dave Ramsey's advice in this situation is kind of more like stay in jail, right? Work your butt off in jail for as many years as it takes to get rid of your debt. My approach is rather than stay in jail is go to the battlefield. Now, in war, you have one objective is to win the war, and you will win the war whatever way it takes. So with debt, you need to make war with debt, and debt needs to be your enemy. You need to be focused on taking out that enemy. And there's a lot of ways you can do this. Obviously, you can work a little bit more. You could take another job, but there's a use of creativity. And this is my third principle. Use wisdom and creativity to get to where you need to go to. So if you need to win this war against debt, rather than just using sheer effort of working 3 jobs like Ramsey suggests, rather than that, look for out of the box, ideas. Sometimes you're stuck in the wrong profession. Maybe you're stuck in the wrong geographic location. Maybe you're stuck with the wrong company, the wrong mentors, the wrong whole trajectory in your career. Maybe you're stuck listening to the wrong people. There's a whole world filled with wisdom and ideas of how you can actually increase your income, get into a better job sector, like change your mindset completely, say, let's blow this up and say, how can I increase my income in a creative way, using wisdom and not just my sheer effort and strength. So I think with these 3 principles, number 1, embrace minimalism to control overspending. Number 2, make war on debt. And number 3, use wisdom and creativity to increase your income. Now with these 3 principles, they're kind of like tools in your toolbox, or rather like weapons, right, on the war field. And you can use them and these 3 principles to focus your energy on spending less, not just, through a budget, but actually controlling your desires, embracing something that's more valuable like minimalism. You could use these principles to make war on debt, to kind of think of ideas, creative ideas that you can bring down your payments without having a rigid budget. And you can use wisdom and creativity to boost your income, to perhaps get a new job in a completely different sector that you didn't even think about before, by seeking out information and by seeking out people who are sharing wisdom and providing models and actually giving people the tools that they need to make their goals happen. So anyways, I want to encourage you, if you are in debt, do not despair. There are ways out of your debt. And if you tried like a rigid system, like a Dave Ramsey system, and it's been discouraging, I understand that. I think there's a better way. And there's a more freeing way. There's a more empowering way. And that's to embrace these different principles. Now on this channel, I'll go ahead and share more about these principles. But go ahead and take your time, research minimalism, research war on debt, research using wisdom and creativity to boost your income in the meantime, and continue to follow this channel. Please subscribe. Hope to give you some more great content and advice. See you next time.